Hi, friends. I hope you're having an amazing night. I am coming to you live from my new home for the very first time. So I am so happy to be here in my home. You can see I'm surrounded by boxes. I was going to go live outside for you, but it's a little bit windy. So I'll do that another day and time. But for tonight, I really just wanted to come to you for a few minutes. I want to clear up some confusion because I talk a lot about your symptoms and those symptoms, getting to the root of those symptoms. But the truth is what if I told you, number one, that your symptoms don't matter, and number two, that we may never find the root. And the truth is that no matter what you have going on in your body, if you have chronic fatigue, if you have headaches, if you have hormone problems, if you have digestion issues, the thing is you can have a positive effect on those things if you start to take steps in the right direction. Hey, Victoria, so good to see you here. And the good news is I'm going to teach you tonight why the gut drives disease and what you can do to prioritize your gut health first. Because it all starts with addressing those underlying factors. And I want to talk to you about this and give you kind of an example. I love to use a tree as an example when I talk about getting to the root because it kind of helps things make sense. So if we think about a tree as it is in nature, we think about the root system and then we think about the branches. Now, if we think about the root system being really healthy and vibrant, then a lot of times we probably have really good, healthy branches. But if we see a poor, dead, yucky, worn out root system, then we can probably expect that those branches are probably going to be giving us the same result, right? They're probably not going to be very pretty. And the truth is that our body works in the very same way. So if we think about our root of our health condition, say, that would be things like stress, poor diet, toxins, lack of sleep, maybe even poor relationships, nutrient deficiencies, lack of exercise. We can think about personal care products that are toxic, all of those different things. Those are actually what drives a disease process in the body. And when we think about symptoms, those are actually our branches. So if we think about all the things that I just mentioned, those are being the roots. If those things are out of alignment, then we get symptoms in the body. So that's what I mean when I talk about addressing the roots. And so many times what happens is that we address the symptoms. Now think about if we did that in nature. If we went out there and we didn't water those roots, if we didn't put minerals on those trees, if we didn't really treat and nurture the roots, then we're never going to heal those branches, right? We may go out there and clip the branches, we may cut off the dead leaves and all that, but the problem is if we don't address the roots, then we're never going to have a healthy tree. And the same is true for the human body. So we have to address the roots, which is the very symptoms or the very things that I just named that are actually driving your symptoms. And that's what I want to address tonight because this is how you get rid of disease processes in the body. So let me just kind of give you a little background now on how disease really starts in the body. So typically there's a stressor of some sort. Now it can be an infection, it can be an allergy, or it can be some other major stressor in the body. And that's going to activate an immune response. So typically, if I get a new client that come into my life, then typically about a year prior to when they started experiencing symptoms in their life, they had a major stressor. So that's kind of what starts this immune activation is the stress. And then most people go through this pre-symptomatic phase. You don't even really have symptoms. And then all of a sudden you feel like you're starting to get these symptoms. And this is typically when people start to reach out and look for help, right? They're starting to get symptoms in their body. They're starting to feel like things are breaking down. And that's really the next phase is when the body begins to break down. Typically, this is when people receive a diagnosis and they're starting to look for things like medications. And worst case scenario here is that you're going to see organs start to fail. This is when people start saying, well, surgery is your only answer, right? So we lose our appendix, we lose our gallbladder, and all those different things. So I'm going to talk to you tonight about how to get your body back into that healthy state. And I'll tell you this by quoting Hippocrates. And Hippocrates said that all disease begins in the gut. So really, if all disease begins in the gut, then we got to remember that all healing must begin in the gut as well. So today I want to focus on why the gut actually drives disease and let you know that you don't even have to have gut symptoms to have a diseased gut. So a lot of people are getting things like indigestion, gas, bloating, pain, and irritable bowel type symptoms. And those are really a sign that more serious things are to come, because a lot of times our gut really is our window to the external world. So it's kind of like our internal world or external world's first peek into the body. So a lot of the problem is that we're consuming toxic foods. And our diet is going to drive our gut bacteria. So when they're in balance, everything's going to be good. But when we're consuming foods that change the environment and create an unhealthy environment, then you're going to be driving those bad bacteria. And then you become susceptible to disease. And then those bugs are actually driving the food choices you make. So you're going to find yourself craving more sweets, craving more sugars. And those gut bugs are going to thrive on these things because that's what they need to survive and live. So you are creating a vicious cycle when this happens. And a lot of times our gut also becomes overwhelmed with toxins from the environment. So this can happen again from stress, and that is emotional stress, physical stress, or other stressors coming into the body. It can happen because we live in a toxic world, from the air we breathe to the food we drink. And then a lot of us are on medications, right? And then there's pesticides and herbicides on most of our food, because I guarantee most of us don't eat a full organic diet. And even if you do, you're still getting those pesticides and herbicides on some things that you consume. And then think about all the gluten, the processed foods, the sugar, and everything else we're consuming. All of that is going to drive inflammation in the gut and in the body. And when we do this in our gut, we actually have a barrier, and that allows nutrients to pass into the bloodstream. So things like vitamins, minerals, amino acids, those things should be passing freely through. But the bigger particles, like the proteins, they should actually not make it into circulation. And when they do, it's because of something called leaky gut. And I have shared a little bit about this in the past, and basically it's just when there's kind of holes in the lining. And this is when proteins and things are getting into circulation. Now, these foods don't belong in circulation. So what happens is the body begins to elicit an attack. And this is when people start to develop food sensitivities. So this, now, every time you're eating these foods, you're exposed to these things over and over again. You're eliciting that immune response, and you're creating inflammation. Now, here's the problem. If this continues on, then that's when things like autoimmunity develop, right? So it's interesting. You're gonna see people with Crohn's, colitis, psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, Hashimoto's, celiac disease. I see this every day because this is the type of process that takes place. So if you have one of these diseases, then this is actually the process your body likely went through before you develop these diseases. So this is happening over time. Now, the key here is you got to take care of those food sensitivities. You got to heal and seal the gut if you want to prevent your body from developing future autoimmune diseases. That's why when someone gets one autoimmune disease, they're likely to get another one, because the root of the issue is never addressed. What is the root of the issue? It's your leaky gut. So your gut is supposed to absorb nutrients, but it's not supposed to allow those things to pass through circulation. And you got to clean up that toxic environment to do that. So, and we can talk a little bit further about, the pathogens that are entering in, because you will want to clean up those pathogens. But what I really want to focus on tonight is helping you understand just the simple process that takes place. This is really how disease begins in the body, and it all starts with the gut. So when you work on the gut first, you're going to see changes take place all over the body. And this is why a lot of people go through a lot of different protocols. They go through a lot of different detoxes. You feel all these symptoms and you feel horrible. You shouldn't have to feel horrible on a detox. The problem is that your detox pathways are not opened up. And I promise you, more than one time a week, I get a list of supplements in my inbox and someone says, should I be taking these supplements? And the truth is I don't really know, because I don't know your specific labs. But the thing is 90% of the time, probably not all of them. And you really want to make sure that you're doing the things that are right for your specific body in a very systematic way, because your supplements, your probiotics are never going to fix your problem. Your multivitamin is never going to fix your problem, because the problem is they never address the root. Just like if you go to the doctor and you get the medication, it never addresses the root. If you have high blood pressure and you take high blood pressure medication, it never addresses your diet, it never addresses your stress, and it never addresses any of those things that are actually causing high blood pressure. So guess what? You get high blood pressure medication for the rest of your life. And the truth is that if you get to the root of your symptoms, then you will be able to fix your problem without taking a bunch of pills and potions, trying to fix it over and over. What's more powerful than what you add is actually what you remove. So your body is so intelligent, and it's going to remove what it doesn't need if you give it what it needs. So I hope that you guys found this helpful. If you have questions, comments, or anything like that that you would like to share, or if you need additional information on any of this, please feel free to reach out. And I'm sharing a little bit more about this in my upcoming blog, so I hope you'll catch that this week. And if you have any additional information you would like me to share, please ask, and I will be happy to do so. Enjoy the rest of your beautiful day.